it's Dave Mack at the Storm Motorcycles channel. It's been ages since the last video. Winter time, nowhere to work on the bike, but there's some jobs need doing. The bike's my daily runner, so it's suffered a bit with lovely British salty roads. So today we're going to be tackling the exhaust. Going to drop the full exhaust system off the bike. It's not corroded through, it's just surface rust, so we're going to get that off. So two things we're going to cover. That'll apply to most bikes, not just the VTR we're working on. Anyone who's tried it, anyone who's read the horror stories of trying to get downpipes off the manifold will know you can shear bolts off. They've been on there. I've had the bike 4 years, they've never been off. It's a 23-year-old bike, 24-year-old bike now. So it's going to be penetrating spray, heat, and a lot of patience to get them off, so we'll see how we go. There's two things we'll cover. It will be getting the manifold bolts out, so hopefully that will help you no matter what bike you've got, inline fours, etc. You're still going to have stud bolts, studs or bolts to take off, so hopefully that'll be helpful. And the other one's going to be a bit of a housekeeping tip. I'm sure most of you have seen the trick with the black Domestos or Harpic bleach to get the rust, surface rust off your pipes. It works for a while and then they rust up again. So we are going to respray with some Simmons very high temperature black paint, and hopefully that's a permanent fix, so I don't have to spend hours scrubbing it down with bleach and a metal scourer. Without further ado, let's get on with it. Have a look around the bike. As I said, we're working on a 1997 Honda VTR V-twin, 2 cylinders. So the front header pipe, as you can see, it's not rusted through, it's not blowing, but I just want to stop that happening. So we've got the 2 bolts around the clamp, they've got to come out. We're going to use them releasing spray on those. And onto the centre of the bike, we've got the rear facing downpipe. That's not stood up to the test of winter any better. Lots of surface corrosion, and manifold bolts, you can see they're pretty cruddy. So we'll get some release spray and some heat into those, and fingers crossed we don't shear anything off. So in no particular order, we'll go for the front downpipe first, and with the aid of my technical pointy tool we're going to be taking these 2 nuts off. There'll be a double-ended threaded stud, one end into the block each side, and then this quite extended nut really, so we should be able to get some purchase on it, but not too much because we don't want to shear them off. So that rust on those threads will have clogged up the thread, and that'll make loads of resistance when I'm trying to get the nuts off the end. So whatever brand you like, I've literally shot up the road and grabbed some release spray. There's loads of brands on the market. Choose whatever one you can get your hands on, whatever one you can afford. They are going to do the same job. I've used this before to get a couple of manifolds off of cars that were 15, 16 years old, and then with the application of some heat, it's done the job and I've not had any issues. The general theory is this stuff works its way back down the thread and starts eating away at the rust, and hopefully makes your job a bit easier when you come to swing the spanner on it. So we'll get some of this in there, all over it, over both of them, and then give it a bit of time and it will work its way in. So we'll get plenty of this on, apply some heat. If it doesn't work, we'll go back to step 1 and applying this, and just keep going until, fingers crossed, we have some success. Not great, obviously, because the nuts are facing downwards, so most of what you put on comes off. But that's pretty much saturated. Going to give that probably half hour, 40 minutes to soak in, and then we'll get some heat on them. Right, while that's soaking in, we'll get these end cans off, ready to drop the exhaust system. Thinking positively, because when those studs come out really easily, hopefully, we'll be ready to drop them. Yeah, that winter's taken its toll. Even these studs on the end can, even these bolts on the end can have gone pretty tight. In fact, I'm going to put some release spray on them as well. Release spray and a bit of patience. You can see that's pretty cruddy. Yeah, that's pretty awful. We'll give that a clean up, copper grease before it goes back on. Okay, I'm going to have a good go at filming what I can for you here, but it's, as you can see, quite a tight, awkward space. But I can certainly show you on this first nut sort of length of time and how hot we're going to get it. Ideally, getting towards glowing orange. But as you can see here, I've got parts of wiring loom. I just need to be careful I don't apply any heat to those, obviously, because I don't want to start melting wiring. But I've got probably about 1.5 inches away from the wiring. So as long as we're careful, it's quite a narrow flame. As long as we're careful, should be alright. If I can get the blowtorch to right. There we go. Shorten the flame up a bit. Just apply firing it right to the end of the stud. You can see the end of the stud from where I am anyway. You can see the end of the stud. Far enough away from the block, obviously that's alley, you don't want to get too much heat in that because it's got a lower melting point. You're far enough away that I'm not going to heat the block. That's all you really need to be careful of. Just have a look around. If you've got an inline 4, it's going to be a little bit awkward to get to depending on your make and model of bike. Ideally, which I've used before, I managed to borrow an induction heater, which is absolutely ideal. Go up, have a look at the YouTube and see how they work, rather than me trying to explain it. But it's really precise. You can get the heat exactly where you want it on the end of the bolt. This is literally just a camping gas Bunsen. We can get that heat in there. So I've not set fire to anything. We've not melted anything. 10 mil. Oh, this is not the greatest job to film because of camera angles. So we've got a 10 mil nut. Just got an extension bar on there because I've got whacking great hands, just to make it a bit easier. And very carefully I'm going to squeeze this off, and I'm just, I suppose it's experience rather than anything else, but you're just feeling for the start of the movement and you're hoping it's the nut and not the stud that's starting to shear itself apart. Okay, so I wasn't sure I was getting any movement of the nut. There was no rotation really. So just off camera, another 20 minutes, some more release spray. I've just heated it up again. Let's see how we get on second time. Okay, yeah. Now we've got rotation. Just a little, like minute at a time. It's one click on the ratchet and just gently does it. We're not swinging on it. I'm sure some of you have either seen this or heard the stories. If it does shear off, it's not unfixable. It's just a headache you don't need. Like I said in the intro, I've not had anywhere to work on a bike. You guys can see I'm outside. But springtime's finally arrived. There we go. Now we've got rotation. Beautiful. If it gets to a point and I've got resistance against it, I'll just wind it back in a couple of turns, and you're just clearing that corrosion out of the threads. enough room to swing a cap or a ratchet, as it seems. Okay. Okay, not ideal, but you can see double-ended thread with that long nut on there. That's corroded so much, even with the release spray and the heat. That nut is not going to let go of that thread. You can see the corrosion in there, gunking up the threads and literally bonding it together. Now, that end has come out of the head. There is some, you see on my fingers, there is some swarf there, but I can run a dye over that and clean the thread up, and then run a tap into the head, clean that up. It's not ideal. I may even see if I can go and get some studs tomorrow and just replace them while they're out. But it's come out, no damage, it hasn't sheared, I'm not drilling it out. So we'll call that one a success, and fingers crossed the other three go that well. Okay, so second one's come off. This is how, in an ideal world, they come off. That, unlike the first one, has wound off and we've left the stud in the head. So we're halfway there. That's both. That's the both bolts out of the rear. It's come out without much of a fight, really. If I could focus on there, so you can see now that stud's still in the head, off to the right as you look, and the stud's coming out through the clamp. Brilliant, much better than expected. Okay, so that's the rear one all sorted. So just moving around to the front, you're going to have to excuse the camera's wobbling. I've literally taped it to the fairing. So again, we're just going to have a look around the area before we start. We're going to apply heat to both of these using the blowtorch. This here is a water hose. It's rubber. And I'm going to be applying heat from this direction because it's the only direction I can get in from. And that flame's going to hit this. It's only about an inch behind. So improvise, because I don't really want to take the hose off and drop all the coolant. It's an old garden tool with a big thick piece of steel plate. I'm just going to keep that over it, over the hose pipe, so it doesn't melt it. And then this one should be fine. There's nothing directly in behind it. The only thing we're going to heat is the clamp. I have got the right hand fan on the radiator there, but that's a good four inches away, so we'll just keep the heat. I'll direct it down so it's away from there. But like I say, this is a video for anyone doing this job. The setup on your bike, the placement of the bolts and everything, just have a look around, make sure you're not going to melt anything, ruin anything, because you're going to cause yourself a headache. So let's go. Okay, same thing then while the heat's still in it. No extension bar needed. Bit easier to see on this one, I think. Again, get your socket right on there. You don't want it slipping and chewing the bolt. I'm just waiting for that bit of movement. Might happen, might not happen, might have to do the spray again. Of course, this is the front of the bike. Gets most of the muck off the road, salt. No, there's no movement in that, so I'm going to respray it, reheat it, and we'll come back. Okay folks, so what I was saying about patience is actually become really important with this one. So I've reapplied release spray twice. I've heated it 3 times now. I've got some movement, and all I'm doing now is to take it out. Set the right way. Okay, so we've got some movement, hardly anything, and then I'm winding it back in. It's starting to release. And then I'll do it back up again. And then reverse it, take it out again. But it's just being gentle. That's the scary noises. Is it releasing? Is it shearing? That's where my courage runs out. I'm going to wind it back in again. And we'll work it back out. And hopefully each time you do it, you're just going to get a little bit more out movement. Ooh, scary noises. Ooh, scary noises. Hold your nerve. Right, back in again. And back out. Ooh. I think I've cracked the corrosion and not the stud. But if I get resistance, yeah, it's starting to get resistance again now, so we'll wind it back in. Patience, patience, patience. And then come back out. This is purely down to the fact this is at the front of the bike. And it's, whoa, scary noises. And it's just taking the brunt of the weather. No. I'm running out of courage. Gonna get some more heat on it, more spray, and just keep going. Well, that's about 45 minutes winding and unwinding this one. Just keep reapplying that spray, reapplying the heat, battle through the scary noises, and 3 down, 1 to go. Well, that's it. Downpipe's dropped, and we'll join you again in part 2. I'm going to make it a 2-part video. We'll get that cleaned up and sprayed. Well, that's it for today. Good result. All 4 bolts out, nothing snapped off. Downpipe's dropped. So 2 videos this is going to be now, and we'll see you again for the next one. It's the hard work done, so now the fun stuff. We'll get it rubbed down, sprayed up, back on the bike looking good hopefully. Catch you then.